14, Trev's Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. You know that. If you're tuning in, if you're watching. That's too sweet. Don't remember the last time I didn't get it on first try. Anyway, today I'm doing something a little bit different. And I don't know if this has been done. If not, again, it pleases me to be the first. Today I am talking about my top 10 favorite jerseys pre-Reebok. Now, if you remember, if you know your history as well, Reebok wasn't always the manufacturer before Adidas came and took over. As a matter of fact, it was CCM, it was Coho, it was Starter. Sometimes there was Bauer. But I'm going over my 10 favorites pre-Reebok era. This does include a few thirds, but there are some primaries in there. So if you want to listen to my top 10, and feel free to give your own top 10s in the comments below. Come along for this ride. Let's talk about it. Now, I'm not going over any honorable mentions. I spent long enough thinking about this one as just a top 10 without even thinking about honorable mentions. But with me today is Haley's handy dandy iPad, and the images here are courtesy of NHLuniforms.com. Check them out if you want to go over your complete jersey history of every team, current and former. You get a nice little rundown on every jersey set that's ever come into the league, past and present. So, with that, number 10. Number 10 is the Fisherman. Now, I know a lot of people give this one crap, and I can see why, but I can also see it from the artistic point of view and the wanting to try something different. You know, the white, I don't really care for. It's the blue that draws my attention. And it's more so because the waves. You'd never seen that ever. I mean, you saw the horizontal striping that came in with the 90s, but you never saw something like this. And the font, I thought, was really, really neat. Unfortunately, this jersey only lasted 2 years before Islanders fans got into a bit of a huff and said, hey, we don't like it. And I don't see why they couldn't like it. This was so out of the box. It was so different. Maybe it'll make a comeback. Can only hope, right? Number 9 is the Flyers thirds. This was around from 2002 to 2007. Now, granted, the Flyers use a lot of orange, but it was the symbol that drew me in. It was different. It was a nice, different take on a classic logo. And the numbering and the font of the lettering just seemed to complement it so well. The arm bars, I thought, were a neat little touch. You know, didn't necessarily take away from it. Didn't make it any kind of a distraction at all. It was just a nice, pleasant thing to look at every time they wore it. And adding the silver was beauty. Number 8, the Jets primary set. Again, the white I wasn't the biggest fan of. It was the rhodes that I liked. And when they came out with the set in 1990, I thought it was probably one of the greatest jerseys that ever came along, until the Sharks came along. But it was a neat little take from an original design. I mean, granted, the ones before this were nice, but these ones were just a little bit nicer. I mean, it fit the time with the 90s aesthetic, you know, just making it a little bit poppy, if that's even a word. It just popped nice. It appealed to the eyes nicely. Yeah, I really hope the modern Jets use this kind of jersey in some form of capacity at some point. I mean, that could be wishful thinking, but you can always hope, right? Coming in at number 7, a nice little goodie. Dallas Stars. Now, when this jersey debuted in 1997, it was based off the all-star design they had at the time, and this was initially a third, but it became such a popular one that they came up with a home jersey to match. Either one. You can take your pick as to which one's the nicer one. I've always liked the darker one myself. The home one, I liked the amount of green in the bottom, but the road had just the green in the right place. I thought. I mean, you could have made an argument to have this white, but it looked better black anyway. But yeah, this was a third jersey to start. It became a primary in 1998. They rocked this until the Reebok takeover, and yeah, just an all-around nice jersey. Number 6, the Hartford Whalers primaries. Now, they debuted this one in 92, rocked this all the way to 97 when they moved to Carolina. I always liked the darker one more. Well, the white one was nice too. I mean, the silver just accented it nicely, but the darker one, no matter, it always looked to me as time went on, it just got darker and darker and darker, but it should have stayed as this tone of blue. Yeah, it was a far scream from the plain green they were using before this, but overall, this was a nice branding tool. Like, this should have been a #1 seller in a lot of places, and it probably was. But I'm glad a team like the Seattle Thunderbirds used it. You know, it kept the color scheme alive, and overall, I was very impressed with this one. Number 5, the McFarlane design. Now, the Oilers debuted this one in 2001 and rocked this all the way to the Reebok takeover in 2007. This was a nice change from having to see that. It was so different. The dark blue, the gear, like everything about it just says amazing. And I don't say a lot of good things about Edmonton or the Oilers for that matter, and it might sound a little odd to other people who aren't from Edmonton, for a guy who lives in Edmonton to be knocking the Oilers, but if I do ever say any good thing about the Oilers, this is probably the only thing. Overall, a nice jersey. Number 4, the Mighty Ducks third. This was after Wild Wing, and it's debuted in 1997. They rocked this for 3 years, up until 2000. They actually had a green one to match this. It was like a fourth jersey, essentially, but the white one I always thought was the nicer of the two. It's just a nice take on the jerseys they already had, minus the striping. But the sleeve going all the way across and down, plus the classy number scheme there, I was always a fan of that. Again, nice jersey. The collar I thought was a nice touch too. But overall, nice jersey, even with the webbing underneath. It was very visually pleasing. Number 3, the Sharks. Now, like the Stars, this debuted as a third, and they did have a white one to come out with the next year in '98 when it became their primary roads. But I mean, their jersey designs were always nice to begin with. I mean, no one ever used teal up until the Sharks came along. But this was always a favorite of mine, always. I even had this one once upon a time, but like most things, pre-2011, it got lost in a move. Story of my life. But yeah, this was very, very beautiful to look at. It was a fun jersey to wear. Overall, just one of my absolute favorites. Number 2, and this shouldn't be a complete surprise to anybody, the Capitals Eagle. And this debuted the same time as the Fisherman, and this one stood the test of time. Obviously, I mean, Caps fans weren't in as much of an uproar as Islanders fans were when this came out, and it was a far cry from the red, white, blue design they had in their infancy and even up until they debuted this in '95. Now, this one in particular was only rocked till 2000. This one went all the way to 2007. They had the black one as a third. I think it was 2 years after the fact, after these guys came out. But the Eagle itself The line structure, the font, the numbers, just classy. All the way around classy. We're at the top. And what could possibly be on the top of this list? Well, I'm sure it's on the top of a lot of people's lists, even the people who own this. The Lady Liberty third. Now, this was definitely a nice change of pace than just the Rangers font that they had. And oh my goodness, upon seeing this the first time in my life, it was one of those ones where it's like, I have to have that. Unfortunately, I have yet to come into it. As I say, I'm not looking for it, because I am, and I would definitely love to add this to my collection, but just the overall design, the color scheme, the line structure. They kept the number and the letter font the same as their original jerseys, but just a lovely, lovely, lovely piece of jersey. Like I said, it's on my to get list, and I don't know what I would do when I do come into it. Not if, when. I do have intentions of making my jersey collection a lot bigger than what it is, and this is definitely at the top of that list. That was my top 10, and that was episode 14 of Trev's Hockey Show. Let me know what you guys thought about that. Feel free to give me your top 10s in the comments below. If you think I missed a team, if you think that there were better designs, I'd love to hear it. I really would. I mean, yeah, granted, it's very 90s dominant. I mean, there wasn't a lot of flash and pizzazz in the 80s and the 70s, or even the 60s for that matter, but I felt with the 90s, with the inclusion of third jerseys and the wave that came with it, it brought out a lot of nice jerseys. And you can guarantee, because this one was pre-Reebok, you're going to have a video of pre-Adidas top 10s somewhere down the pipe. But all in all, I want to thank you for tuning in. Your viewership always means so much to me, always has, always will. And I do appreciate you for tuning in. For all the new subscribers, thank you very much. You're helping me get to my goal of 50. So having said that, you know what to do. After you've done liking this video, there's a subscribe button in one of those corners there. Slap that thing. You're set today with all the content I'm putting out. If you want to, you can find Trev's Trade page on Facebook at Trev's Trade page. And if you want to like the parent channel on Facebook, you can find that there at Trev's TV. You can also find Trev TV on Instagram at Rockstar Trev TV. And if you want to help my other two channels get to 50 subs, because that's the goal for them too, here's what you're looking for. So moving forward, that hockey history video I keep talking about, the script's done. It's just a matter of now filming. So that's on the way. End of the month is coming up. Look for a Trev's Trade page video coming out. As I just said, expect a top 10 pre-Adidas jersey video. And other than that, in the meantime, and in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from Trev. Later.